From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Tighter restrictions are looming for Yellowstone County after another day of rising COVID cases. Yellowstone County topping the totals in the state again with 155 new cases, pushing the county infection rate even closer toward a community-wide shutdown that could start as early as next week. We'll get to that in just a minute. First, though, a business damaged and one person sent to the hospital after a fire broke out in Billings this evening. One man was injured in a fire at a motorcycle shop earlier tonight. Happened at Extreme Machines around 6:15 in the 1400 block of Central Avenue. Man was working on a vehicle when that fire started. Firefighters were able to put it out quickly. AMR took the man to the hospital. Man's injuries are unknown right now, but Billings Fire Battalion Chief Ellen Harper says he appeared to be in good, stable condition. The fire marshal is investigating. And a 3-year-old child fell into a small thermal feature in Yellowstone National Park today. That child has second-degree burns to the lower body and back, was life-flighted to the burn center in Idaho. Yellowstone officials say the child took off running from a trail, slipped, fell into the water. This is the second significant injury in a thermal area this year. In May, a visitor who illegally entered the park fell in a thermal feature at Old Faithful while backing up and taking pictures. Now, as we just told you, Yellowstone County reported 155 new cases of COVID-19 today as the virus continues to show signs that it is spreading here. With that increase, the COVID-19 infection rate in Yellowstone County has jumped from 41 to 49 per 100,000 people. If the 7-day average is above 40 by October 31st, a new round of restrictions will be placed on local residents and businesses. If the average reaches 50 per 100,000, those changes would go into effect even sooner. And it appears that is exactly where we're headed. Here's a breakdown of those numbers. Yellowstone County's population is just over 161,000. To stay under 40 new cases per 100,000, Yellowstone County must have no more than 450 new cases for the entire week. As of yesterday, October 8th, there have been 439 new COVID-19 cases. If that threshold exceeds 565 when the Saturday cases are reported on this Sunday, Health Officer John Felton will issue a new order on Monday. And when asked how long that order would remain in effect, Felton told Q2 a minimum of 1 month. Well, the death toll across Yellowstone County has reached 73 tonight. 3 of the 5 latest victims are local residents, including a woman in her 40s. Deaths are also reported in Roosevelt and Missoula counties. These latest numbers bringing the statewide death total to 211. MTN reports an increase of more than 700 new confirmed cases today. So across the state, there are nearly 6,000 active cases tonight. And it's not just here where the number of daily coronavirus infections is headed in the wrong direction. The virus has now killed more than 213,000 Americans. Cases have topped 7.6 million, and new cases are increasing in 31 states, including several in the Northeast, where they're seeing early signs of a second wave. Here's CBS's Meg Oliver.
The shutdown is back in parts of New York.
We came to the Northeast because we did see troubling signs.
The White House Task Force's Dr. Deborah Birx urging people to remain cautious. Over the last 2 days, New York and New Jersey have recorded their highest number of cases since May. New York City is close to hitting a threshold that would trigger citywide restrictions. A lockdown of schools, non-essential businesses, and houses of worship now in effect in several neighborhoods, sparking protests and lawsuits. In New Jersey, the rate of infection has almost doubled since Labor Day.
We did expect to see an increase starting in the fall, not necessarily this early.
Dr. Sharif Ellenhall at University Hospital in Newark is stockpiling 90 days worth of PPE and securing more labs for COVID testing.
Will you have enough backup frontline workers?
Staffing is one of our biggest concerns, Meg. So remember that when this virus hit New York and New Jersey, we were blessed to get frontline workers from other parts of the country. We can't necessarily expect that this time because everybody has the COVID virus spreading in their communities now.
The Midwest, meanwhile, has reported the most new cases in a single day since the pandemic began. And in the NFL today, a New York Jets player tested positive, forcing the team to send all their players and coaches home.
Meg Oliver, CBS News.
All right, Bob joining us now with the first look at the forecast. We're starting the weekend off warm and with some fire danger.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Let me show you. We have the red flag warning. It starts at noon tomorrow, and right in the central part of the state. To the north, it's until 8 p.m. But down here in the Billings area in southern central Montana, it's until 9 p.m. on Saturday. And then also in the southwest, it's till 8 p.m. on Saturday as well. So what's happening is we're seeing a couple of systems moving through, and they're going to bring some hot air and also some breezy conditions. That'll be enough to get the fires going, and if they get going, they'll burn out of control in a hurry. How breezy? We'll take a look at this. Wind advisory up there by Butte to Helena, maybe up to 10 o'clock to 8 p.m. Saturday. Winds gusting to 50 miles per hour. And what's coming our way? We'll take a look. You can see it right there moving on shore in Washington. That's your next very wet system moving in. We'll have a warm front sweep across the state before that gets here, and all that happens on Saturday and Sunday. We'll talk more about it in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob. Hurricane Delta came ashore near the town of Creole, Louisiana tonight as a Category 2 storm. It's following nearly the same path that Hurricane Laura took just 6 weeks ago, threatening 11 million Americans. Courtney Zabowski has the latest from Lafayette, Louisiana.
Delta thrashed the Gulf Coast at Creole, Louisiana around 6 p.m., packing 100-mile-an-hour winds and unleashing torrents of drenching rain.
Fish in the road. The storm surge is coming in and the fish are swimming up the road.
Tens of thousands evacuated ahead of the storm. For those who stayed behind, the mayor of Lake Charles warned that first responders will not be making emergency calls during the storm.
Though they may want to, and though it's in their DNA to respond, there's going to be a period where it's just not safe to get out on the roads.
Hurricane Delta is the fourth named storm to hit Louisiana this year. The extent of the damage it's leaving behind won't be known until morning.
We know that this is going to exacerbate what is already a bad situation.
Tens of thousands of Gulf Coast residents are still trying to recover from Hurricane Laura.
It's a very stressful situation for everybody.
Laura caused about $80,000 in damage to Chad Aber's home near Lake Charles.
It's hitting like probably 15 miles from where it hit originally, so we're really worried about how our house is doing right now.
2,500 members of the Louisiana National Guard are ready to fan out to hard-hit areas.
I want folks to be hopeful because we know that we're going to do everything that we can to get them right side up again.
Delta is the 10th named storm to make landfall in the U.S. this year, breaking the 1916 record. Courtney Zabowski, CBS News, Lafayette, Louisiana.
Forecasters expect Delta to unleash tornadoes and drop up to 10 inches of rain before it moves out of that area. It's expected to weaken to a tropical storm overnight as it pushes toward the northeast. Michigan's Attorney General says that shocking plot to kidnap, possibly kill Governor Gretchen Whitmer is not the only case of domestic terrorism being investigated. More arrests are expected in similar cases. So far, more than a dozen suspects are now in custody, some who had been seen at armed protest at the Michigan Capitol. CBS News also obtained an FBI bulletin that went out last week warning that anti-government extremists are potentially focused on sparking violence in the next 3 months up to the January 2021 inauguration, and that the presidential elections could possibly be a flashpoint. Well, President Trump is preparing to hold his first in-person event since contracting the coronavirus at the White House this weekend. Meanwhile, Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden is campaigning in Nevada. Deborah Alfarone is at the White House with more.
A senior administration official confirms President Trump will hold his first in-person event since his COVID diagnosis at the White House tomorrow. He's expected to give remarks on law and order from the White House balcony. The Trump campaign has also announced the president will return to the campaign stage in Florida on Monday. It's been less than a week since President Trump was discharged from the hospital.
I was in not great shape, and we have a medicine that healed me.
Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden hit the campaign trail in the battleground state of Nevada with multiple stops in Las Vegas.
If we show up, we win.
Earlier this week, the president said he would hold off on negotiating another COVID stimulus bill until after the election. Now, White House officials say he has approved a revised package offer.
I would like to see a bigger stimulus package, frankly, than either the Democrats or the Republicans are offering.
Friday morning, the House Speaker announced a bill to create a commission on presidential capacity. The panel would be charged with deciding whether a president is fit to perform his or her duties under the 25th Amendment.
This is not about President Trump. He will face the judgment of the voters. But he shows the need for us to create a process for future presidents.
White House officials have called the proposal, quote, absurd, and the bill is not likely to be considered by the Republican-led Senate.
Well, next Thursday's second presidential debate has been canceled, but there is a final one still on the schedule for October 22nd. Still to come on the MTN News at 10 here on Q2. We showed you the celebration last night as a COVID survivor left the Billings hospital after a 2-month fight. We'll hear the rest of his story. And then a little later, it's Friday. That means high school football, including a doubleheader at Dallas. We'll have all the highlights coming your way.